Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. Today we have Adrian with us. Hi, Adrian, how are you?
I'm good, Saskia. Yeah, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for asking, and thank you for coming along to share your story, some of the struggles and barriers that you've also faced being a musician, and talking to
Mhm.
more about what you do. So tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you're doing.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. My name's Adrian Emmanuel. I'm the founder and CEO of a record label and social enterprise called Jambulance Movement Records. So we are a free recording studio and record label based in Guinea. We also have a solar-powered mobile studio, which we use to detect up-and-coming artists. So our focus is really on investing in artists through comprehensive training and mentorship programs. So we cast artists through the mobile recording facility and then put them through training and mentorship schemes and then record them in our static studio in the capital in Conakry. And then we have distribution and publishing agreements in place enabling these artists who were previously undiscovered to reach kind of global audiences. That's our mission.
That's super important and well done. And I love the sustainability part of this as well. So it sounds like it's a really eco-friendly, you've really thought about this. And you're also supporting artists that are not getting that support and that visibility possibly. So what's it like over in Guinea right now and the music landscape and stuff like that? What's it like?
I mean, it's a really exciting time to be working in West Africa in general. Guinea is a very, very, very rich country in terms of culture and music, particularly, which is what drew me there in the first place. I originally kind of got to Guinea through making a documentary in Senegal. I met a load of Ghanaian musicians who were just super talented, and I thought, they needed a kind of label to be able to, give them the exposure they deserved. But it's a really interesting time to be out there, and there's so many different musical styles which are kind of rising at the moment. Not just the Afro beats which you're hearing out of Nigeria, but also obviously Amapiano from South Africa is obviously rising, and Afro house is also becoming like more and more popular on the continent as well. So it's a really exciting time right now over there. Yeah.
Well, well done for doing such great work and supporting underrepresented group. That's music to my ears. What's the
Thank you.
infrastructure like over in Guinea? Is there infrastructure there at the moment in place, or are you building that as you're going along?
So there's a distinct lack of live recording studios. There are quite a few studios which are just kind of, for electronic music. But we've got a full live setup, so drums, bass, guitar, and everything. And I think that was one of the things that we really wanted to kind of address with the project was bringing back this sense of kind of live music being created in collaboration. Because if you've kind of noticed the type of music that's coming out of Africa since really the 70s, there's been a massive decline in bands, coming out of the continent. And I think that is largely a result of the lack of access to these kind of live studios. In Conakry, I think there is one, but it's really expensive, so it's not really accessible, whereas our studio is free. The infrastructure, it's a country that's had a bit of a complicated history in terms of its relationship with the international community, which has kind of hampered like the kind of development of infrastructure like roads and electricity, which outside of the main urban areas is sometimes still lacking. But there is a new government in place since the kind of coup in 2021. And in my opinion, I think it's been quite a good thing because the president is young. He's focusing on youth projects, and I feel like it's a time of like quite intense development for the country in general.
Get more international kind of funding and development as well, because that'd be really, really helpful, wouldn't it? So how did you start? How did this all start? Tell us a little bit more about how did you get this started and why did you want to do it?
So my family are originally from South Africa and Zimbabwe, and I'm like the first generation to be born in the UK. So I've always had this kind of affinity with Africa, and I've been going to different parts of the continent, whether it's south, west, east, since I was kind of 17, as old enough to travel, myself. And I'd always done kind of smaller scale music projects, which, where, for example, I volunteered a HIV and AIDS education program in Botswana in 2007. So I was, only a teenager really. The program was fantastic. We were using a lot of like different sports activities, but the thing that I felt was the most impactful was just our tiny little recording studio and the impact that that was having on the community. We were recording artists, we were releasing songs. I thought like it had like the biggest impact out of all the programs that we were working on. So I had in my head, that was the basis of an idea to do something bigger. As I said, in 2019, I was in Senegal making a documentary, and yeah, really, really, I thought that this was going to be a project that I was going to do in South Africa, but once I kind of discovered Ghanaian music and went to Guinea in 2019, it all kind of snowballed from there, really.
You get kind of government funding and investment with the work that you're doing. How do you raise funds and how do you stay afloat?
Yeah, that's been the biggest challenge, really. We haven't had any external funding. I've been kind of funding it myself since its inception, and that's been a little challenging because it's obviously it's a project that really it could it's very scalable, So I've kind of developed things along a kind of relatively shoestring budget as a pilot, hoping to kind of prove the concept. But we're in a really good position at the moment. We've got a new distribution deal, a new publishing deal with kind of international leaders in the space, and we're gearing up to our first release mid-May, which is from a really fantastic artist called Sheba Queen. She's just won Best Breakthrough Artist in the African Music Awards in Ivory Coast, so she's doing really really well. And then we have another artist that we're working with called Bromze, and he's quite underground still, but he's featuring an artist called Amazo who just sold out like a 15,000 seater stadium in Guinea, so he's massive. So those are our first two releases, and then we also have two Afro House remixes of an amazing group called Kora Komaka. The remix is done by Tiger Balm and Ben Gomori, so relatively well-known DJs on the London scene. And yeah, those are coming out towards the end of the year on vinyl. So it's been difficult with the funding, for sure, but I feel like I've got it to a place where, we're proving the concept and we're releasing music out into the world, and we're really trying to use that to kind of boost our presence online and on social media to kind of attract those brand partnerships and hopefully open ourselves up to external funding.
If anyone is listening, please do contact Adrian with any funding or any kind of support. Fantastic what you're doing. Adrian, how did
Thank you.
you get into this in the first place? Did you do music as a passion or have you had a music education? How's that worked?
Well, I didn't formally study music. I actually studied social anthropology at Edinburgh University. So that kind of opened up my eyes to a lot of different kind of international cultures and kind of different ways of life, really. I've been a drummer in bands since I was like 13, so I've just naturally just done music my whole life, but no, never formally studied it. At the moment, I'm doing more of the kind of DJing and producing side, whilst obviously running the label. But
Hold on.
yeah, no formal music education.
It's okay. That's okay as long as you love it and you're in
Mm,
the place, right? That's the main thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So tell us a bit more about some of the challenges and barriers that you faced running this organization, getting it out there, but also building that kind of trust and letting people know that you're about. Like, what kind of struggles and barriers do you face with that?
I think the biggest barrier that I faced whilst setting this up was, as you say, finding a really kind of strong team around me that can, because I can't be in Guinea the whole time. Obviously, I'm based in London, and I have a really strong kind of like label coordinator, marketing and communications people, administration people who help me on the ground in Guinea. So I think before I had that really strong group of people around me, it was quite difficult coming to a new country and setting up a project because you feel like you're following the right steps. For example, I thought that my partnership with the Ministry of Culture, which has been in place since 2020, would be the key to unlocking, funds, but they ended up being um, quite disappointing in in what they actually delivered day to day, which is fine. I understand its capacity. So I think the main challenge was really building up this team. And I feel like it's like a huge weight off my shoulders to know that I can just check in with this group of people. We have meetings 3 times a week, and I just have that instant connection to what's going
Yeah.
on the ground. And another challenge I think has been so yeah, the publishing side is quite a complicated world in Guinea. Trying to kind of thrash out this new deal that we have in place with Wixen is has been quite challenging because they're asking for data from the BGDA, which is the Guinean kind of PRS basically. But the way that kind of composer rights and performance rights are collected is just not done on as systematic a scale, and the rights are kind of confounded. So there has been a bit of a challenge getting clarity in that space as well. Thirdly, I think one of the challenges that we're trying to address is this kind of there's a bit of a mismatch in terms of artist popularity on different platforms. So we have the artist I was talking about, Sheba Queen. She has over, I think it's like 3 4 million hits on her first single that was self-released on YouTube, but the same track on Spotify I think only has about 4,000 plays. So we're trying to, use our distribution networks to basically bridge that gap, because, obviously having accounts that aren't monetized means that these artists are losing like great deals of money, even if it's not huge amounts of money. It is just like a regular and sustainable income for them. So that's one of the challenges we're trying to address is this kind of monetization issue. Even TikTok accounts that are set up in Guinea aren't eligible for the same monetization features as accounts that are set up in Europe or America. So there are quite a few kind of challenges like that as well.
What's kind of diversity like over there? Do you see lots of diversity in terms of male and female representation? Are we seeing like that changing as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the space has historically been quite male dominated, but I'd say over the past 10 years, there's been a massive rise in female artists in Guinea. There is a kind of from the more traditional music, which is kind of led by kind of griot artists, so who are artists that have kind of been musicians for centuries, going right back to, sort of ancient history. There's a relatively even distribution because it's just in your blood. If you're a griot, whether you're a man or a woman, you're a griot.
Yeah.
But I guess since really the kind of 60s, that culture has declined a bit, and the majority of artists are outside of that. But really in Guinea, there's a huge popularity for female artists. Once female artists do well in the country, they can explode. There's a woman, Jelly Kabubuntu, who does the traditional Mamaya music of Guinea, and I guess everyone can understand there is just something different about a female artist, and there are a lot of social barriers for women still in the country. The social worlds of men and women are quite separate, and from an outsider's perspective, there is a lot of kind of traditional gender roles. There are just as a fact more barriers to female success than male success. But having said that, I've always encountered like a very, very encouraging and supportive environment for artists that do choose music. There is also the fact that it's a majority Muslim country, which can make kind of music creation for women a bit of a, how do you say it, a countercultural statement.
Yes.
But I've only ever encouraged, I've no only ever really encountered kind of encouragement for female artists, and there is a supportive network. But what we're trying to do, so the way that the kind of gender balance has really shown itself to us has been through our castings. So we do castings for new talent in urban hubs across the country, as I mentioned. So we'll go into a community centre and publicise the event on social media and on radio and through flyers. And we normally get like over 100 artists coming to each one, so over the past, since 2022, we've had over like 550 artists come through these auditions. It's huge numbers and huge demand. The issue is the majority of these artists have been male. There's a massive skew towards female artists. So, and I think the reason for that, I feel, is largely um, potentially is just more of a difficult thing for women to just say, I'm going to go to this event
Yeah.
off my own back. I'm going to go and attend this because of the social barriers that I mentioned. So as a response to that, we've started employing female kind of outreach officers who are artists or they're in the music space, and they basically just contact their friends who are women who are in music, and they do castings over the phone. They can send us videos. They can just, we try to make it more accessible in that way.
Done. I love the sound of that. So you're like Simon Cowell, over in West Africa, which is awesome.
Kind of. I mean, we tried to make it a bit less cutthroat, than a Britain's Got Talent, or Guinea's Got Talent rather. Because I think the artists that potentially aren't chosen to record straight away, we try to, as I said, put them through training and mentorship. So it is a fact that if it's more like if they're not ready now, but they really show passion and promise that, once they go through these schemes that potentially they could be ready in the next rounds.
Fantastic. I love that. And also, what would you like to see change? If you're looking at the music industry right now, we'd say in a few more years' time, what would you like to see improve across the music industry over there?
Yeah, another great question. I feel a couple of things. I mean, we've started working. We have a new partnership in place with an organization called the African Leadership Academy, and I feel like more there needs to be more kind of programs and projects like they're doing. They have a university which basically takes on students across Africa or across the whole continent, and they can decide. They ask them at kind of 15, 14, around this age, like what they want to do, whether it's in the arts or finance or whatever. We're obviously partnering with the arts organization, and then they get them like what's the word, internships in their sector of choice, and they're paid internships. It gives them a leg up onto the job market, and that's the start of their career, and they're 16 years old, 17 years old. And I feel like the music industry could do with so much more of that. It feels, when you meet people who work for record labels, whether it's on the industry side or just on the artistic side, it's so opaque. Like, how do you get involved? There's no real like, here's an internship with, Warner, or so I feel like it's so many people's dreams to be involved in the industry, but there is so little clarity in terms of the leg up for young people in that. And on the flip side, I also feel like what the African Leadership Academy do is also, bringing kind of creative minds together, who want to do similar things. So even if you don't necessarily get an internship at the label that you want to do, you can meet someone who's also your age who wants to do similar things, and you can work something out together. So I feel like the music industry could promote so much more of that, in young people. And yeah, it's It's really that I feel. I feel like, a lot of artists are coming through TikTok nowadays. That's where the industry is really kind of finding artists, and I think that's great. But yeah, potentially giving them more support, giving them kind of more connections with other people who are on a similar journey, so it doesn't feel so isolating and alienating for these people who just go from 1 minute taking a video in their bedroom to the next minute, you're either doing these live shows or in these kind of label offices, and
You don't
you're
know,
kind of flustered and overwhelmed. You don't really know what's going on, and there's money and there's contracts, and you're a bit
you're just running
lost.
away.
So yeah, so yeah, a lot of the artists that we work with have never seen a professional recording deal. So that's been another challenge that we've had to overcome. We can't give them the deals that they want to see, which is like just a very simple, 1 page document. We have to give them a professional recording deal, even if it's slightly out of their comfort zone. But it's about kind of talking them through that process, giving them the lawyers that they need to ask all the questions, making them feel comfortable signing it, linking them with artists who are also in that situation. So yeah, reducing isolation in the industry, I'd say, would be my number one thing. Yeah.
In the UK, you can still feel isolated at times, and I think that's part of it, isn't it? I think, especially over here, we've got 70% of the workforce is freelance. I don't know if it's the same over in Guinea, but a
Mhm.
lot of it is like doing things, finding your community, building community, but also finding those like-minded people. And it sounds like you're addressing so many of these issues with such a great initiative that you're doing. Well done, Adrian. It's like music to
Thank
my
you.
ears. This is awesome work. I really do appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And how
We
can people
feel like
connect with
it's
you?
sorry, go
How
on.
can people connect with you, find out more, find out about the artists that you're working with, find out about the label, or if they want
hmm
to support you, how could they do that?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, Jambulance Records, Facebook, Jambulance Records, yeah, jambulancerecords.com. Hit me up over email. It's just Adrian at jambulancerecords.com. We're very kind of open to collaboration with people who are interested in the project.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll leave all that in the link in the description below as well. And the last thing
Amazing.
I'll ask you, is there any major wins or successes you'd like to share with us before you go?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, just having some music coming out, I feel is is a major success.
So
Thank you. I know it sounds like the bare minimum of a record label, but I think, I've been doing this project since kind of around just before COVID, so late 2019. And with COVID and how difficult COVID made to travel, just being able to kind of go out, conduct these castings, find the artists, put them through the training, get the recordings done in Guinea, and then kind of mixed and mastered in the UK, and now have the kind of distribution and publishing arrangements in place to enable us to release them. I feel very, very proud of that. And I got recently the test presses through from our Afro House vinyl, and it was just such a moment to be able to hold something physical. It was like, wow, okay, this is tangible and real, and I felt so happy. I'm a DJ. I play vinyl. I've been playing it in my sets, and it's just that's really a major thing. And I guess lastly, I would say, yeah, I think, we do a lot outside of music as well. I think there's been, we've worked with a lot of incredible creative talent in Guinea and Senegal as well. We are also starting to put things in place to move the project also to Senegal. And I think just I'd say a massive success is the amount of talent that we've been able to work with. We work with some absolutely incredible videographers, visual artists, photographers, choreographers, graphic designers. People like this have been absolutely integral to us. So I feel that with the release of the music, and we will be using exclusively Ghanaian creative talent. So not just the artists will be getting the exposure, but the whole kind of creative ecosystem. So that I feel is also quite a big success for us.
is. Well done. And you've done all of this from the grassroots up. So if you can,
Yeah.
that's inspiring. That's really empowering, inspiring, and well done. Take my hat off.
Thank you.
We need more people
Thank
like
you so
you in the
much.
industry making it a better place. Keep it up.
Thank thank you so much, Saskia.
It's a real pleasure. And we'll speak again soon, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, thanks for having me on and yeah, speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.